Hello to everybody. My name is Dmitriy Kostaryev. I am a project manager of Archer Software. I have a relevant experience in the embedded systems field, and I will try to get all needed information, possible information about this direction, about these technologies which can be useful for business. So let's start. First of all, we want to introduce you to industrial embedded system. But the first question, what is an embedded system? Embedded systems are everywhere. In our daily lives, from the moment when we wake up, even in our alarm clock, we have embedded complex system. This complex system also included into the microwave, washing machines, cars, and most things which can be used by which can be used in modern life by a normal citizen. Industrial embedded system help us to unify and centralize control architecture, reduce maintenance cost, and optimize a machine's performance capabilities. Machine control is an embedded automation feature that allows manufacturers to help improve overall product quality. Complex embedded system allows to monitor energy and production resources at various levels in different industries. Such monitoring can significantly reduce the quantity of resources which can be used for production needs and give savings as a result. Using such system allows us to make an effective management decisions on resource distributions, equipment load, and technology process. I will present several examples how it can be used in medicine a little bit later on. It can be used for healthcare industry, for medicine production, medicine devices production, wellness and healthcare industry, hygiene and washing industry, and any other possible industries also. Embedded system for resource monitoring. It's one of the most interesting applications of the embedded system. There is a lot of possibility of such system to provide very interesting and useful solutions. This automated industrial resource monitoring systems allows us creating a real-time enterprise energy and equipment balance, tracing the specific energy costs per unit produced for individual structural units of the enterprises, for shops, for sites, for items of equipment, and so on. Such system allows us to integrate the data from the counters, sensors, and equipment. For example, from counters of electricity, steam, gas, temperature, equipment, working hours, and so on, into a single cloud informational space. I will show you how it can be organized on next slides. It's providing rapid access to the statistical and analytical information about energy consumption, working hours, and status of the equipment, temperature and humidity, and other production parameters for different categories of users, and informing immediately about any deviations from the limit. Working with different type of data into one production account from different existing industrial system, both from hardware and software side, which can be collected by one system, which based on the embedded principles, web and mobile technology. You can see main feature of such system. You can see our vision of such system. And we have a next advantages for this. It's web and mobile interface for the system operation in real-time mode. It's centralized data collection and cloud architecture. It's remote control, instant alerting and ticketing, low service costs, flexible configuration and easy extension of the system both on the hardware and software level, archive of the data, different types of reporting, Also, it can be included geoinformational function for distributed system if they located not inside only one plant or maybe on different places inside the city or even in the country. And it can be stored into one place from different sources, of course. And also, it can be possible to get the data from operational accounting and share it with different external systems. If we are talking about such systems, embedded systems, they can be useful for manufacturing resource planning because it can be monitor of energy resources and consumption on different levels, from the whole plant till the equipment or small part of the plant. It also provides us production control, especially for liquids, oils, and detergents, controlling of liquids for filling, leakage control, and control of cleaning procedure, and so on. It can give us alerting about limits and deviations from the limits. And also very important things here that we can connect external procurement management system for pre-order of the necessary consumables in time, given the data from the consumption of the consumables, if it's liquids or oils, of course, the first point. And integration with such external systems is possible via API, of course. I can give a small example for you how it can be used on the medicine manufacturer, for example, for oils. We can control oil consumption, which go into the filler, and after that, from the filler to the bottles. We can collect how many liters or tons going through this filler, and how many of them was diluted into the bottles. And if something happens, if equipment stops, if some leakages we can see here, we can eliminate it, and we can fix these issues in a couple of minutes, because we can see the deviation from the previously limits which can be put inside the system. Also, we can control equipment. We can control, for example, belt, working hours, time for maintenance, and we can control all hygiene procedures also. If we are using automatic cleaners, how many detergents use it, and how long it takes. Second point of view, also we can control humidity and temperature inside the clean box, and it's also very important for us. If something happens, even a deviation for 1 or 2 degrees, it's very critical for such kind of production. And in this case, we can get this information, and we can solve these issues immediately using this system in a couple of minutes, due to notification system and due to ticketing system, which can be also built in this embedded system on the level of web interface, of course. Also, it can be used for manufacturing process management, for equipment operation control, for operating hours, maintenance control, maintenance logging, possibility of ordering consumables for equipment maintenance using procurement system. We can build optimal workflow based on the equipment lot. And also we can, as I told you before, we can provide complex control of humidity, temperature, and hygiene parameters for production facilities, refrigerators, boilers, and so on. It affects both the economy and optimal distribution of the resources, as well as the quality and safety of the products. And as I told you already, ticketing system allows us to control the technical fixing of issues based on the information from the system about deviations from the limits, with responsible persons, actions, and needed and implemented activities, and needed resources for fixing of the issues with equipment, for example. Also, very interesting and important topic, it's forecast for the future periods of the consumption of the energy. Forecast of the consumption of the resources for the future periods, taking into account the consumption of the resources and equipment load, actual from previous period, and possible load for the next periods. These mathematical models that describe the actual process of energy consumption on the plant and allows making a forecast for consumption levels based on the data collected during previous period. As I told you, this model should take into account changes in external factors, production parameters, temperature and humidity inside the plant and in the external environment, such as external temperature, humidity, and so on. The software module for information modeling of the forecasting process may implement by whole Brown additive autoregression and regression models. You can see here on the slide examples which shows the forecasting results by additive models. Chart shows comparison with real data. You can see that the model is more or less smooth and they allows us to get the forecast for the future period for financial planning for future period based on this forecast for needed energy resources. It's also possible to, using this tool, organize production planning for future periods based on this forecast and based on the possible loading of the equipment, of course. On the next slide, you can see the structure of the system. I can comment a little bit the structure. We can collect all the data from the energy resource counters, as I told before, counters for electricity, for gas, for steam, for water, for chemicals, and so on. It can be even analog signal. It can be converted into the digital signal using special controllers. Also, we can get the information from the equipment about working hours, about their status, and about all other additional functions, which can be used by standard protocols, Modbus, for example. It also can be stored inside the controller. We can have production data from different parts of equipment, and we can get the temperature and humidity data from temperature and humidity sensors. All these counters, equipment, and sensors can be distributed somewhere on the plant, and controller can store this information, and controller can help us to get it from analog to digital form. After this, the digital data can go to the one industrial computer that stores all possible data from controllers and devices in database format. And from this database, it can be placed on the cloud-based server with services for all clients. Also, other counting system, it means that such other system, separate system, for example, if it's already installed for water, for electricity, because such system, of course, already exists, maybe for commercial usage. Now we are talking about technical usage of the system, not for commercial, not for accounting with company which provides electricity or water. The data from such system also can be included inside our embedded monitoring system on the level of industrial computer, or even it can be data can be sent to our cloud-based server if existing system can provide API for this, of course. This cloud-based server system can connect to external ERP system or accounting system to get the data from them, and also a forecast model based on models and principles which was presented on previous slides also can be connected to this system. We have a web interface with actual data, tickets, deviation, reports, forecasts, and other modules, and we have different levels of users, different user roles, such as administrator, of course, technical department, management, finance department, production department, operators, energy department, and procurement, with different rights. And system allows us to organize separate access for each category of the users for different type of the data. If we are talking about possible savings after implementation of such embedded system for monitoring, we can talk up to 30% of energy costs due to building an optimal energy balance, identifying bottlenecks and areas of increased energy consumption, as well as the ability to forecast of energy costs. Also, we can save up to 20% total savings on the equipment maintenance due to the ability of optimized production process based on the analysis of the equipment load. Up to 15% give us possibility of control over manufactured products, reducing the number of rejects, the ability of quickly troubleshooting production lines using ARIS and ticketing system. It's up to, as I told you, up to 15%. Here, savings is possible. If we are talking about such system, of course, we can propose you development of such monitoring system based on the embedded hardware and software with web code-based software from the scratch, with web interface with such possibilities as it was presented before. Also, we can propose you complete analysis of the production and customizing the system at the software and hardware level to your needs after this analysis. We can propose remote audits based on the data provided by the system. And we can provide recommendation for optimization of some equipment or some energy using based on the data from the system, maybe based on the forecasts. And it's real possibility to improve the quality and the savings for your plants. And if you have some ideas how you can use such monitoring embedded system which not present here, or maybe we can discuss it with you, and we can develop a similar embedded system on your demand after analysis and after providing documentation of offers for such systems. That's all from my side. This topic is very, very big. I can get a lot of technical details from you, about such system, but my main aim today just give an imagination that such systems it's possible for realization. We have such practice, and it will be great if this topic will be interesting for you, and we can discuss separately each case in future with you. And of course, I am open for the question from your side if you have any question right now.
Thank you, Dmitry. Please welcome. If you have any questions, you can just unmute and do it orally, or just type it in the chat if it's more convenient for you. Meanwhile, could you please elaborate a bit on the following issue? We all know that for pharmaceutical and for any medical industry, it's very important to, monitor all the quality and all the standards to make sure that the result, the product, is compliant with all of the standards and requirements from the government and from the healthcare side. Could you elaborate more on how those use cases are implemented with the embedded systems?
Okay, I already thought about such examples. For example, you can use just from packaging point of view. You have a belt. These belts using special lubricants, and these lubricants using in the production process. And if you have a small quantity of such lubricants, your bottles will be crushed. If you have a lot of lubricants, it will be overconsumption of such lubricants. And if you can use this system, you can set up the limit. You can control each liter, each milligram of consumption of this lubricant, and you can see the reports about the consumption. You can see reports about the activities, how long it takes for using such lubricants, and how many times, how long it works with the belts. It's give us information also about the timing and about the period, service period for the belts as a result, because we can see working hours due to counter which connected to the belts. We can save the money for maintenance, and we can see a real consumption of such lubricant. It's one of the possible application. Second one, if you have equipment, for example, which must be with regular maintenance every 2,100 hours. We can collect all data about the working hours of this equipment, and system give us information. Okay, now it's 1,500 hours. You need to buy the consumables, you need to provide needed maintenance in 500 hours. If we can forecast based on our forecast and the production data, it will be in 1 week. Please be ready for this. And this is also a very great things for optimization of the working of the mechanical department, for example. And you can plan, you can have a plan for your warehouse to storage the consumables, for storage so special things which needed for maintenance of such equipment. It's second example, maybe. Third example, as I told before, it's temperature and humidity control, which give us information about the current status of the humidity and temperature inside specific zone, especially in the clean zone and in the production zone. It's very, very important from the quality point of view, as you already told, for from the standardization point and from the quality assurance point. And if we will have any deviations, for example, our heater is not in normal state and we need to repair it, and then temperature goes down, it's very critical, and this small issue can affect a real big problem with ready-to-go production things, and it can be solved much more faster because we will have information about this deviation in a couple of minutes, and your technical staff can solve this issue. And we can control solving of these issues using the ticketing. And if these issues is give us, if these issues will be very often, we must think about the equipment quality which installed on this side. Just several examples. It's a very, very big quantity of the examples which can be used, but we want to speak about each problems, and we will try to find solution for each problems using these instruments.
Thank you. Is there any limit as to what kind of equipment you can use? Which ones you can or cannot monitor with this embedded systems?
Okay, let's start from counters. If you have old analog counters, very old analog counters, maybe 20 years old, of course it's not impossible to use, but most of the modern counters already exist with impulse module, and we can use this impulse module to get the data. So if your counter already has this possibility, so we can use this possibility with impulse module. If we are talking about production equipment, a lot of production contains embedded system already with standard protocols like Modbus. We can connect our system to our future system to this equipment using these standard protocols which described in documentation via Modbus, and we can get directly a production of data. Also, we can use special equipment to get the signal about the consumption of the energy, and we can just control if equipment working or not, because we can get the signal from this equipment. It's not so expensive equipment, it's very cheap, and but we can get imagination, for example, as I told you about the belts, if the belt's running or not running. Just install the simple electronic device for this. Of course, it will be additional installation, but it costs maybe up to $50 and not so much, I think, for installation, just for this electric part of controlling system. And if we are talking about the sensors, all the modern sensors also has different protocols and also has different outputs, and system can be constructed such way that we can work with such sensors for temperature, humidity level sensors, for if we want to measure the levels somewhere, I don't know, in any production, for any production things. So we can connect to sensors, different types of sensors also.
Okay, thank you. And the last question from my side, from your experience from the delivered projects, how long it usually takes for you to design and build and then implement at least the first part of this system?
Okay, the system, it looks like a Lego constructor. We can connect 5 counters. We can connect. We can install 1 controller, or we can install. I will show you maybe better on the structure. We can install several counters. We can install several electronic devices to connect to the equipment. We can install several sensors. It's maybe just up to 1 week from the hardware point of installation. After that, we can install controllers and we can install industrial computer. These very simple things, not so difficult for installation. And but before this, we need to understand requirements to the system, and these things depend from the production and from the requirements of the customer. Because if customer wants to have only the information about the electricity consumption, for example, it's not so difficult. Maybe up to 2 months to develop and design and install such system from starting of the project to its completion date. But if we are talking about some specific things, like we want to manage additives which goes to several baths, technical bath, and we want to see the percentage. We want to control it per percentage in the water, and we want to control conductivity, for example. So it must be up to 4 or 5 months. I don't know. It depends. Each project is individual. There is no standard solution here because any production is individual, of course, and any product is individual, and the organization of the production and targets of installation of such system individual in any case.
Gotcha. Thank you. So does anyone on this call have more questions? Please feel free to ask. We'll just give you a couple of minutes.
Hi, guys. Can you guys hear me?
Hi, yes.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hi. Thank you for hosting this webinar, this interesting webinar. My question is developing an embedded device for the pharmaceutical industry more challenging and expensive due to regulations surrounding the development of medical devices?
So sorry, you mean that it's a development? It can be used, of course, for production of medical devices. For example, you can control your equipment. You can control temperature, you can control humidity, and maybe some specific things like lubricant oils. I don't know. It depends from your tasks, because here we can work as a partners. You can give us information. What do you want to have, and we will try to propose you best solution based on your current existing situation.
Right. To be more specific, what I meant was for medical devices in general. These regulations, is it more expensive to develop them, if you know what I mean.
You mean that development of medical devices? Yes, but today we are talking not about the development of the medical devices. We are talking just about the monitoring system.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. If I got your question correctly, is that regulations and standards specifically for medical device production, they add up some specific things that should be monitored. So it couldn't be like a bigger project, and though it could be then calculated, the price for this project could be more expensive. Is that true, or does that depend on the certifications itself? But
yeah, because in this case, of course, you're right. Thanks for your help. Because in this case, we need to design hardware part due to the standards, of course, with all classes of IP, IP69, IP68, and so on. Yeah, it's really very important.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, and also I think the software part as well, the compliance, the audit for the compliance of the software part could be added as a step within the project and could add some more expenses to it, of course. But again, it depends on the complexity of your system, the things that you want to include, and the timeline of the project, which of these systems should be built in from the beginning of the project, and which of them could be added later on.
Just one last question. Are the regulations similar, the ones in the pharmaceutical industry and the ones in the medical devices industry? Are they similar, or are they different?
Of course, on the medical, because we are talking about medical productions in different countries, and of course, worldwide standards is applicable for all the plants, but in each country, the standards it's more or less specific. Using this system, we just give you information and we just give a monitoring, but it's not a part of your production, because for production of medical devices or medicine, it can be, of course, special equipment which can be connected to the system.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we've been into custom software development for healthcare for over 20 years already, and we've done a bunch of projects compliant with different regulations like HIPAA compliance or IAC and etc. So yeah, it is different for depending on what type of product you're producing. For pharmaceuticals, it's of course there are higher requirements for the hygiene, the special conditions within the product line, and for medical devices, again, depending on what type of devices you're producing, those regulations could be lesser and not so strict.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
It can be analyzed in each case. It can be analyzed because, first of all, we are starting from the standards, of course. You can give us your vision of this, and you can give us information which standards needed here, and we can analyze from the hardware and software part to provide you compliance with the standards.
Yeah, we'll also do consulting on these questions for various types of businesses. So things that we want to know before we can actually advise you on what regulations to comply with. We need to understand your production and the countries you want to sell your products to, because that's, as Dmitry pointed out, this is very important because in different countries they are very different. But yeah, we can do that. If you have some specific questions, just ping us info@archer.soft.com and we can, advise you specifically about your product. Okay.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have more questions? Okay, I think that's it for today. Thank you, Dmitry, very much. It was really useful. And I hope everyone had fun today.
Thank you very much.